Well, hello there. How are you doing? So look, as seen by Jack Russell and the Hot Rock Nation, the question I asked yesterday isn't such an easy question to answer. And you think it would be, because in a few months' time, a jury is going to be asked basically that question. Now imagine if all of the information that they have is pretty much what we know about, is pretty much everything. And the only reason that makes me think that there isn't a lot more is the other things that they seem to be going after, like speaking to people who was at school with Bryan when he was 12 years old. Now, if they had something absolutely concrete, tying him to this, nail in the coffin, done deal, shut, done, then I don't know whether they would be doing that. So to start going and digging that far back in someone's history, it kind of, to me, and I could be getting this completely wrong, is kind of digging for stuff and trying to attack the overall, I don't know, life of the guy, to say, look, he's been suffering all this time and this is an incel thing that has stemmed from being bullied and tortured from back then. Now, don't get me wrong, there could be something absolutely damning. But what could that be? What could be the absolutely damning thing that says, without a shadow of a doubt, this guy did this crime? He set out to travel to Moscow, Idaho on this very evening, entered this home, did what he did, and left. What would it take to say that? Now, if this is a capital crime as well, if they are going to seek the death penalty, then they have to be absolutely certain that this guy did it. So what are we relying upon here? We have to hope that Bryan Kohberger is indeed dumb, that he is indeed stupid. Can we truly believe that? Can we truly believe that this student with multiple accolades, that, you know, he's not an academically inept student, is he? He is clever, and I know we go round in circles and we talk about this street smart versus school smart, so on and so forth. But generally, when we talk about things like that, we're not talking about the same topics. We would turn around and say, look, someone can be very smart in something that they study at school, but then they could be stupid at something very basic, like making a cup of coffee. You know what I'm talking about if you've been around a while. And this is what we're saying. But when we're talking about someone who has specifically studied something to then in practice be terrible at it, that's much more rare. That's like someone being a medical student, studying medicine and studying the art of getting their hands in and fixing people, but then when they come to physically doing it, they can't do it. And the excuse there being, well, doing it is not the same as learning about it. Do you know what I mean? Well, that's not generally the case. If you are studying something to degree and master's standard, then you damn well should be good at it in the physical world. Because if you're getting on aeroplanes where people have done lessons and they've done simulations and they've done tests, but then they get in an aeroplane and it's very, very different, then you do you see what I mean? This is, and again, I hope you're not getting into theatres where you're having operations done and this doctor's going, look, it was easier on paper, now I've got a scalpel in my hand. You're fucked. Do you know what I mean? And I make joke of it, and it's, you have to, because it'll drive you insane, because this story is a sad story. It is a sad, even if this is the guy, we have to then consider what made this guy on this specific day decide to do this specific deed. And maybe it is the visual snow that we hear about. Maybe it is the bullying not torturing, but bullying, because, you know, let's face it, many people get bullied and they live with it, and actually they sculpt their lives to become a better version of themselves because of the bullying. So, you know, it's don't get me wrong, there are people who can be bullied and go the other way. It's been seen, it's been heard of. But my point being, this is a sad story, because if that is, and this nature versus nurture situation, because I struggle to believe that Bryan Kohberger was born evil. I can't see that, because he's not a young lad, is he? He's nearly 30 years old. So this has taken a long period of time to do. We've seen true monsters. Paris Bennett, who murdered his younger sister to get his mum. How old was Paris? Was it 14 years old? That is being born a monster. You know, Bryan Kohberger at 28 years old, he's lived a large proportion of his life through some pretty horrendous things. You know, like the bullying, like the visual snow, if indeed that affected him to what we could read and see. You know, it is horrendous, but he got through all that and he come out the other side. Now, is it that all this just damaged him beyond repair, and on this night he just snaps and does this? But like I say, we have to, at this stage, truly bank on the fact that he is just dumb. He done all this learning, went to put it into practice, and made all the mistakes. What does it mean if he's not dumb? What does it mean if this guy is as smart as what many people have said he is? And the mistakes that were made were not his mistakes. Or he was indeed working alone, but he made these mistakes on purpose. Is this the stage being set that we see now? Is this what Bryan always wanted? To battle the system itself and show how the system can be played and the system can be beat? And with the gag order upon it, is this going to be done beyond the eyes of the public? You could also argue that if Bryan isn't the guy, and this is a situation that we're seeing a university that is the primary employer, it's what funds this area, is it all about trying to get something done incredibly quick and beyond closed doors again, behind closed doors? And you have to ask the question, is it possible? It's certainly not out the realms of possibility. Now, we are going down rabbit holes and we are talking about conspiracies and things like that. And, you know, at the end of the day, do conspiracies exist? Yes, they certainly do. Is this what this case is? We probably won't ever know. But like I say, he's either a dumb person or he's clever. And if he's clever, then is this going exactly as he planned it to all along? Now, what if Bryan Kohberger turns around and says that there was a third party? What if he turns around and says Brent Kohberger did it? I was a driver. I didn't realise what he was going to do. He was going to get narcotics because he was suffering, and this is where he got them from. There could be curveballs coming. There could be curveballs coming. I'll catch you all in the next one.